Hey, welcome to the show. We're coming to you from the USS Pompanito in San Francisco, California.
Now, Pompanito, that's Italian, isn't it?
I think so, yeah, it sounds Italian.
So that would make this then an Italian sub.
Right. Today on the show, we're taking a look at Metal Gear Solid: The Twin Snakes for the GameCube, Unreal Tournament 2004 for the PC, The Suffering for the Xbox, and in Versus, it's Nightshade against Ninja Gaiden. All right, well, seeing as we're on this giant submarine here, why don't we start with Metal Gear Solid: The Twin Snakes. This one's from Nintendo, Konami, Silicon Knights, and it's for the GameCube. What'd you think?
The graphics, when the game came out originally on the PlayStation 2
right.
and the PlayStation, the graphics were really high quality then.
Brilliant.
You know?
Yes.
So now to get it 5 years later, you know, there wasn't much enhancement graphic-wise.
That's absolutely not true. The game looks amazing. It looks much better. Stack this next to the PlayStation 1 game.
If they wanted to improve this game, you know what they could have done?
What's that?
Taken out all the voiceovers.
Oh, come on.
That's how they could have improved this game.
You don't like David Hayter? You don't like the voices that are in this game?
Come on, they're horrible.
The script writing isn't
they're
great.
Horrible.
But the voices are good. They've got all...
Oh yeah, that's
okay.
great.
I don't like that one.
No.
And especially when you redo it.
Don't get me wrong, I love Metal Gear Solid. I was the biggest Metal Gear Solid freak fan in the world. And when it came out initially, it was mind-blowing. It was one of the most amazing things I'd ever experienced in a game 5 years ago.
Right.
But now that games like Splinter Cell have come out.
Yes, I agree.
And hey, this game has got to compete. It's on the GameCube. They want to brag about how great it is, but Splinter Cell is also out on the Xbox.
I agree with you.
And when you compare the controls and the storyline to a Splinter Cell,
yes,
it blows it out of the water.
Absolutely.
And that's how I have to review this game.
Listen, I agree with you. It doesn't compare to Splinter Cell. The controls
were always bad.
Back in '98, though, they didn't feel bad. They felt like it was, you know, so groundbreaking and cool, and the AI was awesome and all that stuff. Now you have characters that can be across the room from you, and they don't see you. They have like this sphere of you know, where they can see, and if they're a little bit beyond that, they can't see you. So the AI's got some issues there that I don't dig that much. And they also have this overhead viewpoint for most of the game, and it's just not as fun or as fluid as Splinter Cell. The storytelling is cooler in this one. They've got a new director in there to direct all the CG scenes. Nice stuff there. Now you can have a lot of the Metal Gear Solid 2 sort of interface as well. You can go to first-person mode.
So you get crappy controls in first person. That's great.
It's not that great. You can also open the lockers and hide in them.
You can open lockers now.
You can jump over the railings. None of which you could do in the original Metal Gear 1.
No sense this time.
Kinds of hidden tidbits as well. Now Solid Snake will uncover, you know, an area where he'll see a bunch of Yoshi and Mario sort of plush dolls hidden in the corner.
Can you believe this?
Can you
believe what he just said? Say that again, because I don't think everyone out there believed. They thought you were joking.
No, I'm serious.
Excellent, Snake. Age hasn't slowed you down one bit.
All you GameCube fans, owners out there, that's what you waited 5 years for. Hope you enjoy it.
Give me a break.
Didn't you find it a little weird that when the original PlayStation 1, which was on CD-ROM, when that game first came out, it was on 2 discs.
Right.
Here we are 5 years later on the next generation machine, and there's 2 discs.
And it's DVDs this time. But the reason why is they have 40 minutes
extra
footage, really amped up all of the cinematic stuff, and that is what the fans are really going to dig about this new version of the game. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10.
I'm giving it a 7.
On the positive side, if you've never played the original Metal Gear Solid, get ready for a very cool, stealthy spy experience. They've added all kinds of Metal Gear Solid 2 abilities, and all those redone cinematics are amazing.
On the negative side, wait a second, haven't I seen this game somewhere before? Oh yeah, it came out 5 years ago. And finally, we don't need to be seeing no Mario and Yoshi stuffed animals in Metal Gear Solid. Thank you very much.
All right, now we're going to move from a recreation of a classic game to an iteration of a classic series. This is Unreal Tournament 2004. It's from Atari for the PC. What'd you think of this one?
So you say to yourself, what are they going to do this year
Right.
that they didn't do last year, and is it worth putting out again this year?
Absolutely.
And the answer to the question is yes. It's not like, you know, some of the old Tony Hawk 2 and 3 where, you know, you get a little bit more. There's enough stuff in this version that will drive Unreal fans crazy and enough to get new people into it as well.
I've always loved Unreal Tournament. I loved Unreal Tournament on the PC, Unreal Tournament 2003. I loved Unreal Championship on the Xbox. This game blends a lot of what everybody's been playing in other games, as well as all the first-person stuff. There's a bunch of extra different modes.
One of the big differences this time is, of course, you get headset and you're able to communicate online for the first time.
Which is awesome.
Which, to be honest, though, when comparing
it as seamless as
Xbox Live,
that's one element that they've improved on. But what they've really done is
the graphics.
The graphics are fantastic.
Are unbelievable.
The water reflections, amazing. This is really one of the best-looking first-person shooters out there. It's not Doom 3 or Half-Life 2, but it's beautiful nonetheless. But the real big thing here is they looked at the competition. They looked at Halo. They looked at PlanetSide, and they really looked at Battlefield 1942.
Vehicles.
And they've given you vehicles. Now you can jump into and out of vehicles. You can fly in sort of flying machines. You've got tanks. You have this really cool thing called the Manta, which is like a hovering tank or a little sort of buggy kind of thing. Very cool, very fast. They all have their own unique weapons. You can have big tanks where other people jump in and you can move around in the seats and take different positions within the vehicle. And you've also got a whole bunch of new weapons that you can use on foot that are powerful enough to take out people in the vehicles.
Right.
And they didn't just add the vehicles and give you the regular deathmatch stuff. They actually created a new mode.
I was going to say.
Which is one of the coolest modes ever in the Unreal universe. This is called Onslaught.
They brought back Assault mode finally, because it's been absent in the last game.
Yeah, it wasn't in Unreal Tournament 2003, and they brought it back. It was in the original UT game. And Assault mode is very cool. You basically have the same sort of structure where you have two teams, but you have specific objectives that you have to complete. One of the coolest ones is you have a convoy of different giant trucks and trains all racing along, and you've got to bounce between each of them and take over missiles and you know, basically defeat the enemy's sort of position.
Why in Unreal Tournament games do they use those really over-the-top annoying voiceovers?
It's supposed to be.
Doesn't it kind of take you out of it?
I like the voiceovers.
You cannot possibly tell these people that you like those voiceovers.
I totally like it. They fit the style of the game.
My house. My house.
Unreal Tournament 2004 really kicks ass, giving it 9.5 out of 10.
I'm giving it an 8.
On the positive side, the new modes are amazing. We especially like Onslaught. The graphics in Unreal Tournament 2004 are absolutely stunning. And overall, this game is so value-packed. If you're a first-person shooter fan, it's very tough to resist.
On the negative side, there isn't much of a one-player experience here. And the only other thing is that some people may not appreciate the over-the-top voiceovers like my companion Victor Lucas did.
Stick around. We're going to be right back with a look at the suffering.
What do you say we take this around the harbor for a spin, huh?
All right, that sounds cool.
Maybe do a dive or two, you know.
You know how to drive one of these guys?
No.
Hey, I'm Jeff Keighley, former host of G4TV.com, and one of my favorite episodes was our Xbox 360 launch show. I got together with 4 of my favorite journalists, and we all talked about what we thought of the 360 before the Red Ring of Death and gave our scores. I think it gave it like a B-.
We're back. We're in front of the rock because we're talking about the suffering. This one's from Midway. We looked at it on the PlayStation 2, but it's also available for the Xbox. What do you think of this one?
Can I tell you something? This is one of the best games this year so far. The scariest video game ever created in the entire world.
The first Resident Evil and Silent Hill games were pretty damn scary.
Yeah, but
I know they had problems technically.
But I'm saying the graphic level couldn't get you in as much as this one did.
It's very psychologically terrifying as well. It's not just, you know, people jumping out at you all the time. There is a lot of that, but there's also hallucinations.
You have a hallucination insanity meter similar to the other Silicon Knights game.
Right, Eternal Darkness.
I always looked at their bodies when I was done.
I cannot believe the amount of detail. I'll give you an example. You're in this room and you see a glass window. In the other room, you see one of the bad guys.
Right.
And he starts like tapping on the glass and you're like, whoa, that really freaks me out. Then all of a sudden, boom, he cracks the glass and the glass is starting to crack. You're freaking out like, is this guy gonna bust through? Nah, they won't do that. Boom, the guy busts through the window.
Brilliant.
You're flipping out.
There is a video on the game disc that you have to watch before you start playing. It's called Prison is Hell, and it's all about this haunted prison. You watch that, it gets you in the mood like crazy. You've got, your neck hairs are bristling, you're freaking out. Then you jump into the game, and it's exactly the same thing. You're completely scared. You can't believe the level of detail on the lighting and the ambient audio.
Absolutely
The
amazing.
audio is incredible.
And then when you get the Dolby Pro Logic 2 going around,
Yes.
as certain things happen, you kind of have this good side and bad side in the back of your brain. So you kind of hear your wife's kind of female voice saying, don't kill him.
Right.
And then this other guy saying, kill him. I mean, that's the great thing about this game.
The language is very dirty.
They say every other, I mean, it's very realistic and very live. It's not, they don't say it gratuitously.
No.
A lot of these video games try to say they're interactive, but it's very linear. The great thing about this game is that along the way, you can decide if you want to have people help you out. There's an area at the beginning, for example, where there's a police
You don't
officer.
have to kill everybody in this game.
If you want to, you can kill the guy and decapitate him and his head goes rolling, which I love to do.
It's really violent.
Or he can help you out and he can show you the way. Along the way, you meet a bunch of people like that. There's different inmates. As you progress in the game, you realize that you yourself can turn in to one of these creatures, and that's when the real fun starts.
Well, I gotta tell you though, that kind of is where the game lost a little steam for me. I like the fact that, I didn't want to turn into a monster. I thought that was like, it was a silly choice to be, especially because
I see where you're coming
it doesn't really make a difference in the game. The other thing that kind of let me down a little bit in this game is that you see the same guys over and over again. The monsters just keep sort of generating, and there's tons of them, and they just keep popping up. There isn't enough cool monsters in the game.
I think there's a lot of cool monsters.
There are a lot of cool monsters. Yeah, lots of them. The one other thing that bugged me too is that you can save the dudes and not kill the guys that want to help you, but they're so stupid. They're dumb.
No way.
Listen,
I totally
was in
disagree.
one room and looking outside of the door. The guy's right in front of me, and the guy's saying, "Where are you? Where'd you go?" I'm going to give The Suffering 8.5 out of 10.
I'm giving it a 9.5. I thought it was amazing. On the positive side, the graphics and lighting effects in this game are absolutely phenomenal. It is one of the scariest, if not the scariest games we have ever played, and the sound design and music are absolutely phenomenal, especially when they say.
On the negative side, there are a few too many monsters in this game and not enough variety. Some of the helper characters had some pretty suspect AI, and I thought the fact that you could actually turn into a monster kind of took me out of the experience a little bit. All right, sticking with fast action shooters, we're going to move now to a peripheral that you can use with Silent Scope Complete for the Xbox. This is called the Silent Scope Light Rifle.
Well, go figure.
Yeah, it's perfect sense there, doesn't it? It's from Pelican.
One of the cool things about the game in the arcade was that you could actually look in the scope, and you got a little video monitor that, of course, that's not there.
Let's talk first, though, about how this whole deal comes.
It comes in a package about this big.
No, it doesn't.
And it ends up being this big. It's very strange.
You just add water. The one part is like the shotgun part. Then you put the shoulder stock on the back and the barrel on the front, and you slap the sniper part on top.
We had problems with this thing, didn't we?
Absolutely. The problem really isn't the rifle, it's the software, it's the game itself. Silent Scope is not a great light gun game. It's not very...
well, I disagree with you
I mean, it's a fun game, but it doesn't have the technology down pat. I mean, the software has to be completely readjusted. You have to brighten up the video on your game so much that it's almost unplayable.
So the gun's hardware should have overcompensated for that.
It's the game, because I tried it with another light gun, and it was the same deal. I have to say, I can't recommend it.
I can't either. I mean, it doesn't work properly.
On the positive side, this is a very cool looking peripheral, and it's very well built.
On the negative side, it doesn't work too well with the game. It was named after Silent Scope.
Okay, that's enough with shooting. We're going to be right back with some sword play with Ninja Gaiden versus Nightshade. Stick around.
Hi.
Your blood.
Do you consider yourself a star?
I'm the same girl I've always been.
You don't sound surprised about your popularity.
I've been deeply involved in the gaming community for years. It's where my biscuits buttered, so to speak.
If you could describe yourself in 5 words or less, what would you say?
I fall, I get back up.
That's 6 words, actually.
You're a cheeky one, aren't you?
G4, TV for gamers.
Buried Treasure is brought to you by EB Games. We take games seriously.
Hey, I'm talking about American McGee's Alice. This was a psychotic, interactive take on the whole Alice in Wonderland story. It was developed out of Dallas by a company called Rogue. You walk through these incredibly scary and spooky worlds, very, very lush environments. I would say that the enemy AI is a little bit weak. You're dealing with guys that you can sneak up on and hack them before they even know that you're there. But the style of the game is so cool. You can really tell that they were trying to create a new level of art. Go check it out. This was called American McGee's Alice for the PC, and it is a buried treasure. Who likes ninjas? I like ninjas. You like ninjas?
No.
We've got 2 ninja games for you in Versus today. We've got Ninja Gaiden from Tecmo for the Xbox versus Nightshade, which is from Sega for the PlayStation 2. Now, let's talk about graphics. What did you think of Ninja Gaiden's visuals?
Well, I mean, they're excellent. I mean, this is the team that did Dead or Alive, Extreme Beach Volleyball
There
team,
are no ninja volleyball girls in
which
this,
is a
again.
crying shame.
But it does have incredible environments. We're talking leaves falling.
Rocks.
We've got birds flying
We got
overhead.
dirt.
I love the swimming effects when the ninja jumps into the water.
Whereas Nightshade, on the other hand, it's difficult on the eyes.
Well, it's unbelievable because this is the sequel to Shinobi.
Unbelievable in a bad way.
Yeah.
There is no real-time lighting at all. There's no cool shadow effects. And like, this is like standard in video games
Yes.
now. We're okay?
They both have these combo attack moves where if you beat up a bunch of characters in a row, you get extra points and stuff like that. But again, Ninja Gaiden's cameras and the whole way that they handle it, much nicer. In terms of audio, how did these 2 games stack up?
Oh, Ninja Gaiden gets the nod again. The VO in Nightshade is so bad that it just completely ruins the experience. Now, Ninja Gaiden didn't have a lot of music going on. It was kind of sparse.
The story's not that great, but I thought the voice acting was pretty decent, and I did like the music that was in that game. Now, Nightshade's music, on the other hand, techno, pop, just super
Whatever.
fast, crappy stuff. I mean, you just can't deal with...
Takes you out of the experience.
Absolutely. There's no contest. Ninja Gaiden's audio, much better. Okay, now let's switch over to the gameplay for these 2 games. What do you think?
Well, you know, Ninja Gaiden has a lot of elements that Prince of Persia had in it.
Yes, it does.
Running on walls, swinging on poles. It's almost like this kind of stuff is going to start to become standard in games, which is a good thing to see.
What's kind of interesting when you stack these 2 games together is that they share a lot of gameplay characteristics, but it's really evident to see that Ninja Gaiden does it so much nicer.
I mean, Nightshade, all that happens is you just get waves and waves of enemies.
Well, the whole thing with Nightshade...
You kill those waves, and then another wave comes. Whereas with Ninja Gaiden, you know, it's more about stealth, and I liked the battles.
There also is a lot of this acrobatic stuff where you're jumping into these cool environments and you're swimming and you're collecting new weapons and you're shopping.
But the problem is, too, is that it's so difficult. You know,
it is very tough.
Everybody's complaints about this game.
Nightshade has the same problem. It's one life, and if you die, you have to start over again.
Ninja Gaiden is a better, more fun game to play.
Absolutely. Ninja Gaiden is much more fun to play. It is much deeper. The AI is much more solid. The bosses are cool. So overall...
Well, overall, you know, Ninja Gaiden gets the nod. It just kicks Nightshade's ass. I'm giving it a 7.5.
9.5 for me.
Wow.
What are you going to give Nightshade? 5 for me. As you can tell there in the Battle of the Ninjas, no contest. Ninja Gaiden kills Nightshade.
Today on the show, we took a look at Metal Gear Solid: The Twin Snakes for the GameCube. A very cool classic game gets updated and it's a lot of fun, but unfortunately there just aren't enough enhancements for fans of the original. On the PC we looked at Unreal Tournament 2004. This is a great game with an awesome collection of killer gameplay modes, and the vehicles are brilliant. It's still not that much of a one-player experience, though. On the Xbox, but also available for PlayStation 2, we looked at The Suffering. This is an incredibly spooky and action-packed horror game. Tommy and I love the monsters, but unfortunately it's just not enough variety. In Versus, we looked at Nightshade for the PlayStation 2. This is the sequel to Shinobi, but it still has Shinobi's rough graphics and repetitive action. We looked at that one against Ninja Gaiden for the Xbox, which is a beautiful action-adventure game that's incredibly difficult. It's obvious to both of us that Ninja Gaiden is the much better game. In hardware, we reviewed the Silent Scope Light Rifle. This is a cool peripheral that's really well built, but it just didn't work all that well with the game. Not recommended. For the Game Boy Advance, I reviewed SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom. This is a cutesy platform game that fans of the show will probably dig, but ultimately, it's pretty forgettable.
Well, that's it. That's all the time we have in today's show.
You know, speaking of time, I got to get you back to the penitentiary, dude.
Back to the Rock?
Yeah, they only let me take you for an hour, and it's back to cell block D with you.
I've been a bad boy.
You have, especially in that dark room all by yourself.
Right.